Discover solutions to issues that affect your family and professional life with practical information to help you get past life's adversities. Take a proactive approach to power up your life with Rosalie's expert resources.
According to the Florida Department of Health, heart disease is the leading cause of death in Florida and the #1 killer of women, taking more lives than all forms of cancer combined. A recent Cleveland Clinic heart health survey revealed, although millions of Americans exercise at least 30 minutes each week, 80% surveyed were not aware that the recommended amount is 2.5 hours a week. The survey also uncovered misconceptions Americans have when it comes to exercise and health conditions. Here to clear up some misconceptions and create heart health awareness is Dr. Leslie Chow, director of the Cleveland Clinic's Women's Cardiovascular Center. Good morning, Dr. Chow.
Good morning.
So, doctor, why do you think 80% of Americans don't know what the recommended amount of exercise is that we need to perform each week?
Yes, that's unfortunate. I mean, the recommended exercise is 2.5 hours of moderate exercise a week. And by moderate, we mean that you're able to carry on a 4-word conversation. You're breaking a sweat, but it's a moderate pace. I think most Americans, for whatever reason, think you have to exercise very vigorously to gain heart health, and you don't.
So do you recommend taking a half-hour walk each day after dinner, weather permitting?
You're lucky you live in Florida, yes. If after dinner you're able to walk 30 minutes, that's fantastic. But you know, it has to be moderate activity. So you have to break a sweat, you have to, you know, be breathing a little bit faster. If you can't do 30 minutes at night, then you can do, you know, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunchtime, or 20 minutes, you know, at lunchtime. Something evenly spaced throughout the week to gain that cardiac benefit.
So what's the #1 exercise misconception?
I think probably the #1 misconception is that you have to run or exercise at an incredible pace in order to gain benefit, and you really don't. You can gain all the benefit of exercise, lowering blood pressure, lowering cholesterol, preventing diabetes, living longer by just doing moderate exercise 2.5 hours a week.
So how much should a person with heart disease exercise versus a person without heart health issues?
That's a great question. They should be exercising the exact same amount of time. So whether you have heart disease or whether you don't have heart disease, you should be getting 2.5 hours of moderate exercise a week.
So doctor, for those who think they can't exercise and break a sweat because they may put too much strain on their heart and become ill, is that true?
So no, that's not true. Your heart will thank you for exercising moderately. Your heart actually receives great benefit from moderate exercise. And it's really important if you have heart disease or if you had heart disease, if you've been sedentary, to speak to your doctor prior to exercising. But for most people, they really can start exercising without any type of stress testing.
So doctor, why do people who know that they need a regular exercise program and that exercise is proven to reduce mortality rates reject making that commitment to a weekly exercise program?
Well, I think it's the busy lives we lead. You know, all of us lead lives that are scheduled tightly, and we think, oh my God, I just don't have that kind of time to exercise. And you know, that's a great myth. If you can, everybody has 10 minutes. Everybody has 10 minutes at lunchtime or at dinner time that they can exercise. The other great myth is that you have to join a gym, you have to buy an expensive equipment to exercise, and that's absolutely not true. You can walk. That's completely free. Without spending any money, you can get exercise.
I personally know because I tried to motivate my sister who had diabetes and kidney disease to get up and get active like I do every day. But she wouldn't exercise or go to physical therapy. She became more obese because she was sedentary year after year, and it became more stress on her organs. which made her medical issues even more life-threatening until she passed away. So are women more proactive like I am than men in getting active to prevent heart disease and illness?
Unfortunately, women tend to take care of everyone else. They tend to look after their husband, their kids, their parents, and so they don't exercise as much. And it's really important, men and women, regardless of how old you are, to start exercising. It's, when you take care of yourself and you take care of your body, you're better able to take care of other people. And your heart will thank you in the end.
And so will the mirror. So, doctor, where can our viewers find more information on exercise and heart health?
clevelandclinic.org/loveyourheart for more information about exercise.
Thank you, Dr. Cho, for joining us this morning to create heart health awareness and the importance of making a commitment to exercise at least 2.5 hours a week.
Thank you so much.
Nearly 28,000 American men died of prostate cancer just last year. 1 in 7 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, often showing no symptoms until it's too late. For the 7th straight year, the NFL has teamed up with the Urology Care Foundation to promote the Know Your Stats campaign, which encourages men to understand their risk and talk to their doctors. Joining us to share more is NFL Hall of Famer Michael Haynes with prostate cancer specialist Dr. Scott Eggener. So, doctor, tell us, how is prostate cancer diagnosed?
In the United States, prostate cancer is an incredibly common cancer. This year alone, nearly 200,000 men will be diagnosed and nearly 30,000 men will die of the disease. There are strategies in place to try to lower the risk of dying of prostate cancer, and one of those is screening for prostate cancer with a simple blood test called the PSA and also a prostate examination. Men of all ages over the age of 40 or 50 are at risk of the disease, but those at particularly high risk are African American men or men with a strong family history.
Michael, you were diagnosed for prostate cancer following a Pro Football Hall of Fame event. Tell us about your journey since.
I actually found out or started having a dialogue with the doctor at the Pro Football Hall of Fame where I attended a screening for retired players. And that's the first time I heard these statistics that 1 in 6 men would be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. Now it's 1 in 7. And also that 1 in 5 African American men would be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. And if it runs in your family, 1 in 3. And it sounded like an awful lot of men, and I had never heard of prostate cancer or talked to a man about prostate cancer. So when I got back home, I talked to my primary care doctor, called him up, and he looked at my chart, and I guess he had been keeping a record of my PSA. I was unaware of that. And after our conversation, he decided to send me for a biopsy, and that's where I actually found out that I had prostate cancer. They found cancer in 9 of the 12 places that they checked, and that really started a new ballgame for me.
Doctor, as an associate professor of surgery and co-director of the prostate cancer program at the University of Chicago Medical Center, tell us, when should men get screened for prostate cancer?
Michael's a perfect example of a guy that had never known much about prostate cancer, but the screening process literally saved his life. And so it's important to know your potential risk factors for the disease. Have the conversation with your doctor about the screening process. Not every man that's diagnosed with prostate cancer necessarily needs immediate treatment, and there's a lot of different strategies, and technology and treatments are improving literally by the month and year.
Michael, what do you want other men to know about prostate cancer to get them to be proactive?
So, if anyone has questions about prostate cancer, probably the best place to go for answers is our website, knowyourstats.org. A lot of frequently asked questions there. Oftentimes you can find out what's going on in your own community, and there might even be offering free screenings in your area. But it's a website that you can even shoot emails to us about if you have questions.
Thank you, gentlemen, for both joining us this morning to create awareness of prostate cancer. 2 decay is one of the most common chronic conditions among children. Fact is, by age 5, about 60% of children will be affected by tooth decay. Did you know children with oral health problems are 3 times more likely to miss school due to dental pain than children with no oral health problems? Here with practical tips to help change children's oral health care is Dr. Robert De La Rosa, President of the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Rose. How are you?
So how can we teach children how to brush their teeth correctly and make it fun?
Right, and that's the key word, fun. You know, we want to make toothbrushing, Rose, a little less of a chore and more fun. I'm the father of twins, so for us it was a family affair. We'd have all 4 of us in the bathroom at the same time. We'd brush my son's teeth, and we'd brush my daughter's teeth, and we'd sing. And of course, our Mouth Monsters program, it really helps to make it fun and engaging, and that is the key.
Tell us about your Mouth Monsters.
Yeah, so our Mouth Monsters are a campaign that we're using across the country to really engage our message of the dental home, of 2 minutes twice a day on the brushing, of really trying to give our kids in this country a better experience with dentistry. There are 51 million school hours missed a year in this country due to tooth problems. And according to a Florida 2013 survey, 43% of the children in Florida have experienced decay, either treated or untreated. So it's a significant problem. It's 5 times more chronic than asthma. It's a big problem. And so our campaign is designed to make it fun, to make it engaged, and to get our kids with that dental home by age 1.
We know that tooth decay can lead to even greater health complications. Doctor, share some of those health issues.
Sure, I'd love to. We know for a fact that if kids have untreated tooth decay, they're much more prone to get sinus infections, ear infections. They perform poorly in school. I mean, it's nothing like a toothache, and it just really upsets us so much when we know children are out there suffering with tooth decay, especially when it's preventable. So it does have a systemic connection to it. And also, Rose, what happens with the baby teeth or primary teeth is a good indication of what's going to happen with the permanent dentition. So this primary dentition or baby dentition is very important for the long-term oral health of our patients. And that's why we want to establish that dental home very early.
What are some of the common myths when it comes to children's oral health at an early age?
Well, I'll tell you the biggest common myth to me is, aren't they baby teeth? They just fall out. Why do we need to take care of those? That is the biggest myth that we try to overcome every single day. Because as I said, it's so critical to have a healthy mouth early. And remember, even though children start to lose their baby teeth around 5 to 6 years old, some of them will keep their baby teeth to 13, 14 years old. So it is not necessarily just a short-term thing. And of course, baby teeth guide the eruption of the permanent teeth into your jaws. They help with speech. So very, very important. That's the most common myth we've got to get rid of.
So, doctor, tell parents what's the right age to begin to take children to the dentist for the first time.
Again, it's that age 1 by the first birthday, and that visit's a lot about education. So we want to educate our families, our parents, grandparents, and caretakers about brushing 2 minutes twice a day, about the importance of that regular dental checkup, about fluoride, about all those things that can help produce a cavity-free generation.
So what are some bad habits parents should be aware of, starting with toddlers, that can negatively affect your child's oral health?
Well, I think early at that age, even before then, it's bottle feeding prolonged. So what we mean by that is we never want to put our babies to bed with a bottle, really at all, but certainly with nothing fermentable in it, like a juice. I've even had parents talk about soda in a bottle. We never want our babies to have a bottle at rest. That's the one thing. The second thing is this grazing or snacking with a graze. In other words, when we want our kids to snack, we want them to sit down and have a healthy snack. We don't want them to be carrying a sippy cup around all day long with anything in it. So it's not only what we snack on, it's when we snack. So at that age, those are the key things. And then, of course, as our kids get older, we need to worry about our teens. drinking the soda and the carbonation and the sports drinks, because they certainly have a lot of sugar and a lot of acid in them. And as far as toothbrushing is concerned, Rose, we want to make sure our parents are supervising that toothbrushing and flossing until around age 8 or 9. We say when kids can tie their shoes, they can probably start brushing and flossing their teeth, but they still need to be supervised.
So where can parents find more learning tools and neighborhood pediatric dentists to teach the practice of daily oral health care?
Oh, sure. So you need to go to our website and look for mychildrensteeth.org. We can help you find a local pediatric dentist through there. And there's also a lot of information and a lot of resources that we can give to our families there. And remember about our Mouth Monster campaign. It's National Children's Dental Health Month. So we want to get our message out of good pediatric oral health.
Every day.
Every day.
Thank you, Dr. De La Rosa, for joining us this morning and creating awareness of children's oral health problems and the importance of early prevention.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rose. Appreciate it.
Are you looking to buy a home and not sure if now is the right time to buy? Joining us this morning to let us know is Alicia Stobbe, home mortgage expert and author of the book, How to Get the Best Mortgage Without Sticking a Fork in Your Eye. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning, Rosalie.
So is now a good time to buy a home?
It is a good time to buy. It seems that the market's picking up. You have home prices increasing over about 6% on the national average where they were last year. And the more exciting thing, I think, is the interest rates are still low. And the Fed plans on raising them a quarter point each quarter through the end of the year until they're increased by a full percentage rate. So one more reason why I think now is a good time to buy if you're in the market.
So Alicia, why is the mortgage application process so complex with so many needed documents? You really need to know what you're doing when you put this application in.
It's true. There are so many government entities overseeing the loan process right now, plus the banks are involved, and everybody has their own pieces of information that they need to come all together and have your loan approved. So there's information for the bank, income, asset documentation, the way it needs to be presented and reviewed are all underwritten to government standards such as Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. You have a couple entities in there. And then also depends on the loan type. So there are different underwriting procedures, for example, if you have a government loan versus a conventional loan. And then on top of it, again, the government's overseeing everything with TRID, which is Truth in Lending, RESPA Integrated Disclosure, which just went into effect in October. So it's another whole layer. Plus you have a whole separate entity overseeing the appraisers as well.
So what are the 3 monumental mortgage mistakes to avoid that will lose you money? What's the first mistake?
So the first mistake is not getting pre-approved. I'm very passionate about this because people get excited, they see a property online, or maybe they drive by an open house, they maybe call their realtor or the listing agent, and then they're looking for it, and next thing you know, they're under contract, and they haven't been pre-qualified or pre-approved. So the concern there is once you're in contract, you're expected to perform. It's a legal obligation. So right off the bat, you're going to have to order your home inspection, which depending on the type, and if you also get a pest inspection, you're looking at least anywhere from $175 to $350 for the cost of that inspection. And then also your lender's going to want to order your appraisal right away, and that's also typically a stipulation in your real estate contract as well. So to be in compliance with both pieces of that contract, you're going to spend, and the appraisals anywhere from $375 to $500 depending on the part of the country and the type of the appraisal. So easily you can spend upwards of $1,000 just with those 2 things, and if you're not pre-approved or pre-qualified for the loan, you're obligated to perform and spend that money, and then you may never be approved for the loan.
Another mistake is not understanding your loan application.
Yeah, so this is one of the nuances that I actually really enjoy helping people with because I love to help people save money. So one of the things we look at is the loan type, so FHA versus conventional, for example, and all things being equal with the interest rate, hypothetically, the 2 different loans have different mortgage insurance, and one has an upfront funding fee and the other doesn't. So there's some very small details. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you can do a conventional loan with as little as 3% down, but FHA has 3.5%. So you could actually put less if you qualify for a conventional loan, which will save you money out of pocket, but also there's no upfront funding fee with that conventional loan, and that'll save you about 1.75% on your total loan amount, and that's real cash that people don't consider.
The third mistake is not planning and asking the right questions.
I'm a firm believer that this is a team sport and everybody needs to be on the same team. So the borrower, the borrower's lender, and the realtor all need to be on the same page when it comes to writing that loan, the sales contract. Because, for example, if you're approved for an FHA loan, you may have up to 6% seller help for closing costs. If you have a conventional loan, it's limited to 3%. So say your realtor didn't realize you had that FHA loan is what you were approved for, and they wrote an offer and didn't include seller help, and let's just say a $300,000 loan, 6% is $18,000 you're leaving on the table. Hypothetically, you don't know if the sellers are going to accept it, but if they did and didn't know about it, that wasn't in your offer, that's $18,000 you could pay out of pocket instead of having the seller pay those closing costs for you.
All right, Alicia, what are the mortgage blunders that could hinder you from getting approved? You offer the top 7 massive mistakes to avoid that could prevent you from getting approved for a mortgage. Number 1, you say, don't buy or lease an automobile. Will that affect your credit?
Yes, anytime you apply for an automobile, it typically will knock your credit score about 50 to 70 points. Now, the other piece in there also is that it also affects your debt-to-income ratio. And let's say you were approved and you're under contract and you're at your max debt-to-income ratio to be approved for the loan. If you go and get that car, and people want it, they want to put the shiny new car in the driveway, the beautiful new house, you need to wait till after closing to do it. Because if that affects your debt-to-income ratio and you no longer qualify for the loan because you bought the car, you're not getting the house.
And you might not even get the automobile at the end.
True, you might not get the automobile, and then there's a hit on your credit score, and then you have to explain what happened and what the inquiry was for, and if there was a new account opened or not.
All right, number 2, you say, don't move assets from one bank to another. Why?
There has to be a paper trail for everything. So say, for example, you have money in your checking account and you move it to your savings account, you're now going to have to show both accounts, whereas if you had all the funds in your savings account for closing and your earnest money deposit, you just would have to show that one statement. But as soon as you move those two back and forth, or even to a third one, or a money market account, the minute it moves from a different institution, you have to source and verify all your funds. You're going to have to provide that additional paperwork.
Number 3 is don't change a job.
Believe it or not, this may seem kind of simple, but with people moving and moving to different parts of the country and relocating, there is a big challenge when people move, especially if you're a W-2 employee and you change to a commission employee. Those are things that definitely can put a wrench in your loan application. So if you can, always keep your lender abreast of any information that's going on with your employment, and definitely, if you can help it, don't change jobs during the loan process.
All right, number 4, you say, don't buy new furniture or major appliances for your new home.
This is very similar to the automobile example. I know you want that brand new washer and dryer in the house the day that you move in, but the reality is those types of things, and a new refrigerator or whatever it may be, those type of things affect your credit, and they also affect your debt-to-income ratio.
And number 5, don't run a credit report on yourself. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that will bring your credit score down, won't it?
It does take your score down just a few points. The bigger impact is actually what's happening in between the score being pulled. So that's usually the much bigger impact, but yes, it does. So once the lenders pulled it, they're happy to give you a copy. There's no need for you to pull one yourself, and if you do, you'll end up explaining why, which again, more paperwork already on top of a lot of paperwork.
Number 6 is don't attempt to consolidate bills before speaking with your lender.
True. Now, this may seem like a great idea. However, it may be completely unnecessary, and if you do, it'll create an additional paper trail that'll have to be explained to your lender. So if you're pre-qualified, pre-approved, definitely talk to your lender before you even think about consolidating any bills.
Number 7, a no-brainer again, don't pack or ship information needed for the loan application. Keep important information handy.
It is, however, you'd be surprised. People, pack income tax returns, they pack divorce decrees, marriage certificates, death certificates, all sorts of things that may need to be verified during the loan process. And if that information is in a box and in storage and you can't access it and you need it for your loan approval, you're not going to be able to close on that loan without it.
Now we know what we shouldn't do. But on a more personal level, should we buy or should we rent? You need to discuss your life plans.
I feel that this is a very personal decision. Homeownership has been the American dream for a long time, and if you can obtain it, that's fantastic. However, I believe there are certain times in people's lives where this makes more sense than others. So for example, I think your financials need to be solid and you need to be comfortable committing to the purchase of a home. And you need to think about what's going on in your life. So say, for example, you're a newlywed and you're going to start a family. You may want to wait till you have that family started to buy the home, or you may want to plan to get the bigger home for when you have the family. Or if you have a job, for example, that you get relocated every 2 to 3 years, may not be a good time to buy a home. So I think what's going on in each individual's life is really the most important consideration, in addition to their finances, of course.
So why is it better to buy now rather than later?
Well, this is very important. The Federal Reserve has made the announcement just this past December that they're going to raise interest rates a quarter point every quarter for a year until it's a full point higher. So for example, if you use a $300,000 loan amount and you raise the interest rates 1 full percentage point, it comes out to about $174 a month, which is a nice dinner out, it's a car payment, it's a student loan payment, and more importantly, when you compound that, it's a little bit over $2,000 a year in interest you're paying over and above if you just bought the house before the interest rates went up. And if you look at that $2,000 over the next 5 years, that's $10,000 that you don't need to spend if you find your dream house now.
Are all these mistakes to avoid in your book?
Yes.
So where can our viewers find your book?
It's online on Amazon, and you can get it also at EliciaStobiebooks.com.
Thanks, Alicia, for joining us this morning and educating our viewers by offering tips on what to avoid when preparing to take on a home mortgage.
Thank you, Rosalie.
Take time to ask your healthcare provider questions to keep you and your family healthy. Life changes from day to day, like interest rates. Despite the Federal Reserve's intent to raise interest rates, recent activity in the stock and bond markets drove interest rates down. So Alicia reminds us it's an even better time to buy. So know your options in life and ask important questions to stay healthy and save lots of money. Share with us important questions you ask to be healthy and save money at facebook.com/Rose Lee Show. Also follow us on Instagram at The Rose Lee Show. Watch this episode and many others here at ION Television or 24/7 at RoselyArcherShow.com. Thanks for joining us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you soon.